All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're taking a point-by-point look at one of the absolute most profound debates in all of Eastern philosophy. We're talking about the fundamental nature of reality itself. We'll be breaking down how two massive philosophical heavyweights, Advaita Vedanta and Kashmir Shaivism, understand our entire world and basically our place inside it.
But before we get into the weeds, I want you to ask yourself a quick question. Just think about the physical world you interact with every single day. The chair you're sitting in, the screen you're looking at, the sounds you're hearing right now. Is all of this literally just a trick of the mind? Some kind of cosmic illusion? Or is it an intentional, very real manifestation of a higher consciousness? Keep that in the back of your head as we unpack all of this.
Here's our roadmap for today. 1. The theory of appearance. 2. Point 1. The absolute. 3.2 The world. 4.3 Liberation. And 5 Our conclusion on these two paths.
Starting right off with Section 1, the theory of appearance.
So let's define the shared battleground here, Abhasavada. This comes from the word abhasa, which means appearance, reflection, or looking like something. Basically, it's the theory used to explain exactly how an ultimate, singular reality manages to manifest as the incredibly diverse world we're living in. Both Advaita Vedanta and Kashmir Shaivism totally lay claim to this concept of Abhasavada. But as you're going to see, they interpret this appearance or reflection in wildly different ways. Let's introduce the two sides. On one hand, we have Advaita Vedanta. Systematized by Adi Shankara way back in the 8th century, it emphasizes a strict, purely non-dual reality where literally only Brahman exists. Everything else? Well, it's essentially an illusory superimposition. Now, in stark contrast, we have Kashmir Shaivism, systematized a bit later by the polymath Abhinavagupta in the 10th century. This tradition actually evolved to challenge that illusion view. It proposes what scholars call a realistic idealism, or a dynamic, supreme non-dualism, where the manifestation of the divine is totally intentional and very, very real. Moving on to Section 2, our first point of comparison, the absolute. The point-by-point divergence really starts right at the top. Advaita Vedanta argues the highest reality, Brahman, is this passive, motionless witness. Think of it as pure static light, which they call prakasa. It's completely actionless, it has absolutely no attributes. But Kashmir Shaivism pushes back hard on this. They call the absolute Paramashiva, and they insist it absolutely must be a dynamic consciousness. Sure, it possesses that light of awareness, but it also possesses an active sovereign free will, known as Svahatriya. For them, to be truly conscious, ultimate reality has to have active, effortless agency. To really wrap our heads around this, Kashmir Shaivism uses two interconnected terms, prakasa and vimarsa. So, prakasa is that self-luminous light of awareness, which, hey, Advaita actually agrees with. But vimarsa is the active, reflective eye consciousness that recognizes that light. If prakasa is the beam of a flashlight, vimarsa is the mirror reflecting it right back, so the flashlight actually knows it's turned on. Kashmir Shaivism insists the absolute has to have both to truly know it even exists. This is a super crucial point for Kashmiri Shaivite philosophers. They argue, look, if the absolute is only static light without any self-awareness, it's basically downgraded to a lifeless object. It's like an inert crystal or just a block of wood. The thinker Abhinavagupta even argued that without vimarsa, the absolute is effectively sheer darkness. In their system, action and knowledge aren't two different things. They're inseparable twins of the divine will. Now for Section 3, our second point of comparison, the world. Here is where we hit a massive philosophical split. For Advaita Vedanta, the world appears because of Maya. Maya is a cosmic illusion. It's a beginningless ignorance that projects this false world right over the true reality of Brahman. But jump over to Kashmir Shaivism, and the world appears due to Svatantriya. This is the sovereign free will of the divine. So the universe isn't a glitch or mistake or an illusion. It is a voluntary, joyous projection of Shiva's free will manifesting as the world around us. These two famous analogies hit the nail on the head when explaining this divide. Advaita uses the analogy of the rope and the snake. Picture this. You're walking in the dark, you see a coiled rope, and you totally mistake it for a snake. You panic, your heart is pounding. But the snake was never actually real. The world to Advaita is exactly that, a cognitive error that we need to dispel with knowledge. Now, Kashmir Shaivism uses the analogy of the mirror and the reflection. A mirror naturally reflects images inside itself, right?
The world is a real, dynamic reflection held perfectly within the mirror of divine consciousness. So, point by point, Advaita wants you to realize the snake isn't real. Kashmir Shaivism wants you to stand back and admire the intentional reflection inside the mirror.
Now, because Kashmir Shaivism views the physical world as a real manifestation, they needed a much bigger map to explain it all. Traditional systems like Sankhya and Advaita Vedanta generally map out reality using 25 tattvas, or principles. This covers the physical and mental realms. But Kashmir Shaivism expands the whole shebang to 36 tattvas. They added 11 pure upper spiritual realms to show step-by-step exactly how the divine intentionally descends and condenses down into physical matter. It's pitched as one single, continuous spectrum from the highest supreme consciousness all the way down to the literal dirt under our feet.
There's a quote that beautifully anchors the bottom line here. The universe appears as an abhasa in the mirror of supreme consciousness, projected by Samvit itself. That sums up the Pratibhagina, or recognition tradition, perfectly. The physical world is definitely not a mistake. It's this breathtaking, totally deliberate projection from the inside out.
Moving to Section 4, our third point of comparison, liberation. If we look at Advaita Vedanta, uprooting that cosmic illusion of Maya requires a really rigorous three-step method. First, Shravana, which is listening to the core teachings of the Upanishads. Then comes Manana, representing deep intellectual reflection and logical reasoning to iron out any doubts. And finally, Nididhyasana. This is sustained, contemplative meditation meant to internalize all that knowledge until you experientially realize, I am Brahman. But wow, look at the difference in the ultimate end goal here. Advaita Vedanta seeks kaivalya, which translates to isolation or detachment. Liberation literally means transcending and escaping the illusory physical world. Kashmir Shaivism, on the flip side, seeks integration. Liberation is not about leaving the world behind, it's about recognizing the divine in every single mundane, physical experience. While Advaita seeks a quiet, secluded refuge from the illusion of daily life, Kashmir Shaivism invites you to just stay fully engaged. For them, washing your dishes or stuck in traffic on your commute is just as infused with divine consciousness as sitting in deep meditation. What's really fascinating is just how far Kashmir Shaivism takes this idea of integration. Everything, and I mean everything, is seen as the jubilation of all experience as God's shining. Because it's an inclusive monism, absolutely nothing gets rejected. Advaita might push away negative experiences as mere illusion, but Kashmir Shaivism integrates even the darkest, most chaotic and terrifying aspects of nature. Fear, destruction, completely mundane thoughts, they're all embraced as the pulsing energy of the absolute. Liberation here is simply an active, all-encompassing recognition, or pratyabhyashna, of the divinity that's already right there in front of you. And finally, Section 5, our conclusion, 2 paths. To sum up our point-by-point explainer today, Advaita Vedanta basically operates on the principle of aham brahmasmi, I am Brahman. The world is mithya, meaning false, and the ultimate goal is to realize that static, peaceful witness within yourself, totally detached from the illusion. On the other hand, Kashmir Shaivism operates on the principle of sarvam shivamayam. Everything is Shiva. The world is an abhasa, a real, dynamic manifestation, and the end goal is ecstatic integration with a very real, very divine universe. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with something to really chew on. Based on everything we've gone through, point by point today, which of these paths actually resonates more with your own lived experience? Does your truth lie in seeking refuge and escaping from the illusion? Or does it lie in embracing and recognizing the divine reflection right there in the messy, loud, beautiful reality of the everyday world? Let that sit with you for a while.